So, welcome everybody. This microphone is just for streaming purposes, so it doesn't actually do anything here, but hopefully in the recording and in the live stream they can hear me as well. Welcome. I can't remember we've had such a big turn up at our developer group meetings, so that's a big thumbs up for everybody for actually showing up. So thanks for that. Welcome in the Design Thinking Center. This is actually also the office of NextView, which is sponsoring this meeting. So that's why we're here. We have an exciting program for you. Of course, you've all seen it on Meetup. We've got 4 CDAs and 1 on the road. So it's turning out to be an exciting evening. And I want to say thanks to Sergey for putting it all together. And he will also give up or basically explain how this all came together and what we're going to do today.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. So, oh, it doesn't work. So, yeah, thank you again for NextView for hosting this event. It's very important for us that we have such enthusiastic partners who provide space, food, drink. So, thank you again. Yeah, when I come to user group, I have 3 goals. Goal number 1, I want to learn something. Goal number 2, I want to say hi to people that I know. For me, it's like reconnection. And goal number 3, it's to meet new people. So take this opportunity to say hi to people you don't know in this room. And I'm so happy to see so many new faces. So I think, yeah, one of the goals just have a chat during the breaks. And this idea came to me, I think 1 month ago. I'm following a Gemma blog for almost a year, and it inspires me in different things. And I said, oh, let's test it. It will be an interesting idea. I asked Martin. Martin quickly supported it. Then in the bar after Amsterdam World Tour, I had a drink with Arjan and I say, hey, can you organize, first question was, do we have CTAs in Netherlands? He said, oh yeah, we have so many. And then I asked, will you be open to bring them and to share what is CTA and how to get there? And he said, of course. So, and then everything connected. I asked Gemma if she will come. Gemma said, of course I will come. Arjan said, I will bring my colleagues. And today is the final result of all this coordination. And thank you, Gemma and Chris and Eugenio. Yeah, Eugenio coming from Madrid, especially. Gemma and Chris coming from UK. And thank you, Arjan, Jarde, Jan, and Jan. I was practicing to spell all names today. Yeah, for making your time and sharing your knowledge. Yeah, let's start.
Before we start, I have a few small household messages. For those of you that are looking for the bathrooms, they're on the left side over there. There is Wi-Fi available. It's a DTC Wi-Fi. Password is experience, all lower letters. So feel free, of course, to share anything you hear via social media. We can always use the attention. And as you can see, this will be recorded. It's also live streamed. We have our developer group in Ukraine joining in as well. There's a bit of a delay, so I think they're about to cheer right now. No? Okay. Well, they probably will in a few seconds. So let's get started. There we go. So without further ado, I'll introduce to you Gemma.
Thank you for this kind introduction. Okay. Well, I first of all wanted to say thank you to everybody for inviting me to come and talk to you. I have been a bit nervous today, so do bear with me. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you today was about why CTA. Why is it important? Why are people doing it? And what are we doing within Ladies Be Architects to try and raise the profile of the CTA qualification? But before I can do that, I'm afraid I have to bore you with some slides. However, they are very pictorial, so please don't worry too much. Bear with me, and you can shout out any questions that you want, okay? What's the code? Huh?
Swap on the screen. Can you move Astro forward a little?
Airplay code.
To the left a little, that way.
And of course, we have some technical issues. Is there an airplay code thing?
Okay, it's a moment to make a picture, guys.
Yeah. Everybody do something important. Look important.
Well, the social media hashtag for tonight is Dutch SF community.
I have an adapter. So this is why we always say prepare before you start.
And there's an Amsterdam user group meeting on the 31st of May.
Stand up, turn around.
For anyone listening to this recording later, if you go to www.Benelux User Groups, you won't... I'll look at Astro. Hello, Astro. If anyone goes to www.beneluxusergroups.com, you can see the 13 user groups that there are currently in the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg region, and ever expanding. We have an event next week, which is at our friends Newcraft, and we'll be doing... Cornell, who's over in the corner, will be, and is a certified Scrum Master trainer, I believe. Yep. He'll be talking to us about Scrum and doing some interactive fun and games to help people know about that and Agile. And I'm going to shut up there because we're all about equality. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, now that we're all set up, I can actually talk to you about equality. So... I will admit you are my second audience to have the treat of this, but hopefully you'll like the message. So last week at the Partner Forum, Salesforce messaged me and asked me if I would be so kind to come along and talk to them about equality. Now, one of the scariest things that we have going on at the moment is quite a skills gap in women, and which is why groups like Women in Tech, run by Bhavna, and various other women around the world are making such an impact, certainly in the Salesforce space as well. It's often we will find ourselves in a meeting room surrounded by boys, asking them to just, stop competing for a moment, listen, let's try and figure something out. Anyway, so anyway, equality and fairness are really they're core values to our society, but they're also very, very high on the Salesforce's agenda at the moment as well. Did you know that the equality target is as important to Salesforce as its revenue target is? And this is something that we can all take into our daily lives and into our careers. Because really what equality is about is the notion that everybody has the same opportunity to succeed as everybody else does. And architecture is ultimately an area where we need to do a bit more in that regard. So the reason why is this important to architecture? Ultimately, if you are treating everybody as equals, then it leads to a much more successful project for your customers, but also increases your team's confidence. And when you've got confident people, they're more likely to share ideas and experiences with each other and help each other grow in their careers. So really, in order to deliver amazing projects for our clients first, we've got to hold a mirror up to ourselves. And what does this mirror look like? It brings me to a very surprising statistic on project delivery leadership. Did you know there are only 1 in 25 female CTAs around the world? So why do we think that is? There are lots and lots of reasons. I mean, ultimately, a lot of girls just don't like working with computers, simple as that sometimes. But ultimately as well, something that we can relate to as women is a lack of self-confidence and self-belief. We are the first people to talk ourselves out of doing something. And you imagine you've got one job description, And a group of boys, they'll all look at, oh, sorry, men, they'll all read this job description and go, I can tick off 60% of this, fine, I'll go for the job. You put it in front of a woman will read it and say, I can only do 80% of these jobs, I'm not going to go for it. It's something we can all relate to. We are so good at being our worst enemies. So when we want to do something, we want to give it everything that we've got, and we want to do the very best that we can. And CTA, Certified Technical Architect, is a notoriously difficult examination. We can do all the certifications that we want. We can be working on projects for 20 years, but nothing prepares you for standing in front of that review board where you've got 45 minutes to communicate someone's entire system landscape, where in real life, it would take you 45 minutes just to agree on what profiles you're going to build. So improving this isn't going to happen overnight. It's not something that we can immediately wave a magic wand and suddenly produce 250 female CTAs. We've got a bit of work to do. We've got convincing to do. Maybe this year we can make a little bit of a start. So, which brings me to sort of my story around this. So after working in consulting for 10 years, I'm currently working as a solution architect for Blue Wolf. And we are about to join IBM, so just cling on to Blue Wolf for a little while. But a year ago, having been out of the CRM game for 3.5 years, I was working for Financial Force, I was working on ISVs and packages and things like that. So I was out of the CRM game. But it was when I got started at Blue Wolf was when I realized that I was a woman who wanted to go somewhere a little bit further, and I had all these exams that I could do. Yeah, lovely. But if you had said to me a year ago, Gemma, you're going to be, in a year's time, you're going to be going for CTA and you will have done 16 certifications and you will be standing in front of the review board, I'd have laughed and used a very strong swear word. Because it just wouldn't happen. Like a year ago, it wouldn't have happened. So what has actually turned that into my biggest priority? What's happened? Well, it started with having a great leader. And a great leader isn't just a person, it could be a culture as well. And I'm not here to sell Blue Wolf, but it has really helped me as an organisation because I felt enabled immediately. So I was given the licence to go away and learn more. It was a no-brainer. My manager said, that's fine, you want to do CTA? Psh, we know that that's going to, it's going to cost us $6,000 to do it now. But actually, you're going to make us back loads in the future. So it was that recognition. I didn't have to put a business case together or anything like that. It was just, yeah, you want to do it if you think you can. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So I was supported. I had people I could go and ask. I have a CTA working where I work. So he's my line manager. He couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but he sends his love. I had people that I could go and speak to if I was a bit stuck on things like integration or security. I had pre-sales projects that I could get involved in where I had to come up with a very quick scenario, given a very quick scenario and come up with a very high-level solution in a short space of time. And I was encouraged to do that. We have a rewards program, so we celebrate all the successes that we make throughout that program by rewarding each other with points, and points mean prizes. So the more people go on to, the more points you earn, the more likely you are to be put into situations as well. Not only where you can win prizes, but secondly, you can actually strengthen your skill in areas of weakness. So for me, identity. I was just, oh, don't make me do that. But my mentor chucked me in straight away on a pre-sales engagement for a company that wanted to build Salesforce as an identity provider. And I just took one look at him and I went, I hate you. And he's like, you won't after this. So that helped me to build my self-belief. Sitting in that meeting with somebody, talking to them about SPs and IDP-initiated logins and a single sign-on and all those horrible, yucky things. I actually grew in confidence because I was able to hold a conversation with that IT architect, albeit a little bit shaky, like, am I getting this right? And he wasn't arguing with me, so I was like, okay, that's fine. But setting those short-term goals, enabling yourself for quick wins, because if you pass an exam, how do you feel? You feel amazing, right? I've just passed this exam. I'm not ever going to print it out. Come on, people. But it helps you to feel more empowered, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. So my journey, so this is 2008 to 2017. I first became certified in 2008 as an administrator, and I was working literally with 250 salespeople on the sales floor who couldn't get Outlook to sync with Salesforce, so guess who was running around doing that for them? And I actually quite liked Salesforce. I was like, this thing's quite cool. I had a background in reporting. I was like, I can run queries really nicely in here. I can export and I can import. Oh, look, I just uploaded 17,000 records. So I actually, when the certification program came out, I felt quite enabled and empowered because I was like, right, well, now I can go and get some strength behind me on my career. So I started as an administrator, then I got cocky. Because I'd been on the advanced admin course and I'd got 6 months experience, I kind of looked at it and went, well, admin was easy, I'll do advanced admin, that'll be fine. And I didn't really work towards it. Stupid cow. Look, I failed. So, and that was actually the first thing that sorted my head out in terms of these certifications. And you'll notice that over the years, between 2008 and 2017, by the time it got to 2017, I was roughly 5 times certified, and I wasn't really planning on doing much more. I was fine with that as it stood. And then they decided to get rid of they decided to get rid of Force.com developer. So I was like, right, well, I've kind of got no choice now. So I signed up for a Salesforce Events Day and got 2 free exams. I failed CPQ, but it's fine. It didn't cost me anything, so it was all right. But you can see there are over the years, a few of these have come and gone. And the reason I've put my failures up there is because I'm not ashamed to admit that I've failed on exams. It's all too easy to not take them seriously enough if you believe, you know, and if you've got enough experience will get you so far, but you sometimes need to kind of make sure that your head's in the academic space as well sometimes. But it's like a driving test. No matter how, if you fail your driving test twice, you're not going to fail it the 3rd time. Well, some people do, but ultimately, every time you fail, you learn, right? It's the same thing with these exams. It's a part of your success. So it was last year when I started at Blue Wolf that I began to tackle the architect pyramid. And I'll be frank, I hit the bench. I had nothing to do. So I was like, right, how am I going to use my time? And it started with data architecture and then became a bit of an addiction. Chris will tell you. I was busy. Every time I passed a certification, it gave me much more confidence, and I was in more pre-sale situations, holding deeper conversations with IT architects, and just generally feeling a lot more confident, talking to colleagues and clients and prospects. So I set myself a goal that I was going to reach certified application architect by October. And that was it. I was just going to do that. Everything was going to be fine because I was waiting for more projects to hit. And then Salesforce, so I managed to do that at the end of October when I passed PD1. Yes. And then Salesforce decided to send me 2 free certification vouchers. So who am I to, you know, deny those? And they were going to expire at the end of December. So I was like, oh, thanks. So, yeah, no pressure. So I had to go at integration architecture, I had to go at development lifecycle, I passed that, and then I realized there was only one left to do. And the completionist in me was just like, you can't go forward into Christmas with one left to do. It's like a big gaping hole. You need to sort that out. Another interesting story as well is that Chris and I both sat Community Cloud on the same day. We challenged each other that we were going to, but was it a Saturday? I think it was. Not Sunday, not long before Christmas. We had no kids around. We said, right, you're going to go in the morning and I'm going to go in the afternoon. And we both passed that day. You think that's funny, it gets worse, I promise you. So with one left to do, it was the horrible one, the identity and access management designer, single sign-on, just-in-time provisioning, connected apps, all of those lovely, lovely things. And I was in touch with Salesforce by that point, and they asked if they could test drive some things on me, and I test drove them, and I failed miserably. So we gave the feedback, but then when I decided to have another go, I was feeling a bit bruised. I was like, oh man. But what we then decided to do was, because we were child-free, Chris was working his way through his Sales and Service Cloud certs. So on Christmas Eve, guess what we did? We based, true story, so we so Chris passed his service cloud in the morning and I passed ID and access management in the afternoon. And then as soon as that was finished, we both curled up on the sofa with a bottle of Prosecco and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. 2 exams that weekend he did. Very proud. So, but then it meant we could go into Christmas and I could relax because I'd conquered as much of the pyramid as I wanted to do. And then I knew that I could kind of start focusing on the big one. This is my experience so far with the big one, the CTA. So when I started work again in January this year, my boss, Andrew, and he hates this photo, by the way, but he's laughing because I told him he was wasted as a delivery director. He should just stick things up on walls for a living because he's so good at it. But as you can see, there are a lot of different diagrams. So the top picture there, that was after I did a virtual mock review board with Andrew, and that was after the 2 hours prep, after I'd screwed up lots and lots of different pieces of paper. You're nodding up there, you've done this before. And just an idea of some of the things that you have to do in that 2 hours. But ultimately, going through those mock exams helped me to realise what a huge difference it makes going through that journey to your ability. My co-leader of Ladies Be Architects, Charlie, she said to me, she was doing a talk to a bunch of developers at work at Deloitte, and they were all going, yeah, I'm going to go for CTA, I've done all the exams, and she said, great, you've done the exams, you've got 40% of the way there. Fantastic. And she was right. The biggest difference has been, when they say journey to CTA, it's not just a fancy marketing hashtag. It is a journey. And it's an incredible journey. You grow so much because ultimately you've got to be able to articulate your solution in an unrealistic amount of time, which means that because you've got such a short amount of time, your thought process is being analysed all the time by these judges and scrutinised, and that's what makes the challenge. It's the timing. But I found it's made me far more articulate in meetings. It's made me get straight to the point as well in meetings. I had 2 colleagues fighting over whether it was a custom object or a standard object they were going to use the other day, and I just said, right, okay, imagine you've got 10 seconds to come up with this idea. What would you say? One said custom, one said standard, and I said, I'll just go away. But you've got to be able to listen to a requirement and know instinctively, straight away, what the solution is going to be and what your trade-offs and considerations are. Why have you chosen that solution? What's your justification? And to do that, you can't just wing it. You've got to spend months getting ready for this test. It's a big, big test. And that's why the pass rate is so low at the moment. So how does my journey relate to equality? Well, as I progressed, I realised and recognised that there was actually a really big gap. I got talking to Salesforce. They don't know the exact stats. They don't collect any demographic data on CTA at all, and they can't anyway for legal reasons. But we know roughly what the proportions are, and it's 250, that or thereabouts, CTAs around the world, and 10 women. So, a bit of a scary figure. But not many women in this community were taking this on, and I joined up with the architects community group, found that it was a pretty good message board, lots of people leaving useful resources around, but not really much actually going on in terms of doing something. And I also noticed that women were hugely underrepresented. I just wanted a study buddy, and but I found that people were just talking themselves out of doing CTA. Oh, that's really hard. That's not something for me. That's something that developers do. So that was one myth. One myth to dispel was it's just for developers. Wrong. It's not. But also because of its reputation for being such a hard exam, us girls, we look at it and just go, I've got kids to look after, I've got work, I've got a house to clean, I've got a husband to clean up after, and make sure he gets his trousers on the right way in the morning. That's not from personal experience. I swear. This one can dress himself, it's fine. But I realised that I cared a lot about this, and I wanted to have other people on the path with me. I didn't want to do it on my own. But in order to build more confidence, I had to build a support network, so I did. I just set up a group one day. I'd like to think I'm down with the kids. Its official name is Ladies Be Architects. And it started in November 2017. And the difference between this and any other group is that I wanted to actually get us all together virtually, once a month or more regularly if people are interested, to study together and to tackle. If everybody votes on a certification they want to do, and then they vote within that certification for the topic they want to study, and then we dive into that topic for an hour. And the idea is that it rotates and we get as much coverage of all of the exams as we can. The only other rule that we have is that it has to be run by girls, but it doesn't mean that boys can't take part either. All very, very welcome. So our growth, we started with 24 members in November, and by the end of January, thanks to Twitter and LinkedIn and just generally being noisy on the internet, our numbers are increased to about 100. And then we ran a webinar, and there was a lady who did the webinar called Doina Popper. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she was I think she was like the third female CTA in the world, but the first in EMEA. And she's an incredibly smart lady. She actually did one of my mock review boards with my manager a few weeks ago, and she ripped me to shreds. She was great. I needed it. But also we had Deborah, who runs the architect program at Salesforce. She joined in as well. And we ran a webinar, and it was talking about what CTA is all about, why it's difficult, what's the purpose of it, etc. And as soon as we started to tackle some of the more difficult topics like OAuth 2, all the boys started getting involved, which was wonderful. So we had quite a large study group in February when Charlie, my co-leader in the US, she did a full study group on OAuth 2, which had 22 members. And then in March, she finished it off and we had 3 because it's just such an interesting subject. But the interesting thing is that the way that men actually had our backs on this, because they used our content and they got involved and they shared it. And I found myself on a CTA mock review meeting amongst a bunch of guys in America working for Blue Wolf, and what do you know? He just pulled up the slide deck and the recording that we'd used for Ladies Be Architects, and I was just frantically texting Charlie to say, they're using your stuff. She's like, oh, that's out of date now. I went, no, it's not. No, but and then because of the stuff we were doing, Trailhead DX kind of blew it out the water. I couldn't go, a bit too expensive. But I was sat at home watching really bad television, and I got a tweet from somebody who was at Trailhead DX, and Deborah from Salesforce had got all the women on the architect path together and took that famous, now kind of famous photo of all the girls stood in front of Welcome Trailblazers, and she was like, there you go, Gem. I was just like, oh my God. So it was kind of sweet. So we've doubled our membership now. We've got, I think, nearly 460 members already in our community group, and they're all over the world. Having had so many members, an increasing amount of content meant that we needed a home. So we did. We birthed the website last month, and we post all of our study group recordings on there. We have featured member stories. So one of the things that I think we're trying to do to build confidence is to share real life true stories about women who have overcome adversity to tackle this path, women who are trying to do this and raise kids and make sure the husband puts his trousers on the right way and make sure everybody's still alive by the end of the day. You know, it's all real people all trying to do this as well and better themselves. So each month, as I said, our members vote on the certification they want to study. Then we have a sub-vote for the topic to study. And every woman who passes the certification that month also gets a shout out and a special prize, because we actually have a swag store as well, hence the t-shirt. Okay, so it's not been without its challenges. The biggest things that we've had to do is actually put up our own V2 Mom. I don't want you to sit and read this just now, but I wanted to home in on the top 2, build confidence in women and show the way. And that was really to help dispel some rumours. A lot of men and interested men were getting in touch and saying, is this just a girls' club? And I said, no, it's not an exclusive girls' club. You need to, understand that you can get involved. But I had to do it in the form of this V2 Mom, because otherwise I was going to find myself pinging out text messages to everyone going, no, you can join, you can join. Okay, so this top photo, this is all of our girls getting together at Dreamforce last year. And then this is the Trailhead DX. And you can see it's gaining quite a lot of momentum already. And it's a real melting pot of talented people. It's contractors, it's end users, it's Salesforce staff, it's partners, it's people like yourself, anyone who just wants to help each other succeed. And the point of that is it doesn't matter who you work for. And believe me, when I first did this presentation, I was in a room surrounded by people who all work for these companies. And the point I was trying to make is that within this group, we let all the salespeople worry about competition. We let the salespeople worry about, as long as we're sensible and we're grown-ups about it, and we stay focused on helping each other, developing each other's skills, and because for the simple fact that it's the right thing to do, and it's a great thing to do. And we have male and female members from many of these companies who are part of our group. And we want to help everyone achieve CTA. We want to build a platform of confidence for women so that they realize that it is something that they can do, and we try and shift that terrifying statistic up a little bit. Last slide. I promise this isn't Boyzone or the Backstreet Boys, although some of them actually could be in it. But these are my allies. And some faces you'll recognize, hopefully. But we couldn't really do this without the allies that we have. And these are people who've got my back. They mentor me. They share their experiences with me. They laugh at me. They laugh with me. They put up with my crazy moods. They come to study groups. They give me tips. And they empower us all by asking about and sharing their experiences, listening and showing up. And that's something you can all do too. If you know somebody who is actively solutioning or has got the right mindset, even though they might say, I'm no architect, or they might not be in an architect job, if you see somebody's given a solution from a customer rather than a requirement, can I have a field for this? And they're going, well, actually, how do you know you want a field? They're thinking like an architect already. And if you've got people like that in a team that you manage, then that's a great opportunity for you to push them forward, albeit subtly if you want to. But these allies also play a huge role in my own journey to CTA. So Chris tells me I can do it when I'm doubting myself. I can discuss all my diagramming with Matt. Some of you will have met Matt. I can practice and I can take really tough feedback from Andrew, who's my CTA mentor and line manager. Johan built a really, really good platform for us to build a leaderboard for all of our trailhead and certifications. So actually it helps me snoop on the group as well, so I know who's got a cert and I know who needs to get sent a pair of socks. But then we have Jitendra. He shares all of our stuff with his mentees, and he supports us 100%. And so does Atul. Atul is recently minted MVP. I've never met him, but he shares all our stuff on Twitter. He comes to our study groups, and he gives us a bit of, public support. And then finally, Carl. Carl, this man here, passed his CTA first time, having not drawn a single diagram before he went in. He went into the room, and he drew it as it was coming into his brain, and he smashed his CTA, absolutely smashed it. But not only that, he spent an hour and a half on the phone with me last week, just talking me through what he did and how he prepared, what his ramp-up process was like, who his mentor was, and all of those things. And it's that valuable thing of giving us time. And I think with all of this going on now, it helps me to understand, and certainly with my own personal health problems that have come back to the surface just this last week, it still gives me a bit of encouragement, knowing that we've got all these wonderful people around that are willing to support us, all these great resources that we're building, and it just gives me all the more determination to say that I can and I will do this. Just watch me. Any questions? No? Okay, let's get on to the real stars of the show.
Yeah. We have a break, 10-15 minutes, and then we start final discussion. There's a question.
Hi.
Hi, Gemma. This is Sam. I see you got your first certification 2008 and now 2018. So it took you 10 years to become architect. Is that the process for anyone, you think? What about your colleague? I mean, they had...
Not necessarily. I know, I mean, certainly my role as a solution architect, I was given this role because I had sufficient knowledge and experience in Salesforce. And indeed, even 4 or 5 years ago, in my last role at Financial Force, I was Little Miss Salesforce. So people would come and ask me about Salesforce. I would say that to reach that kind of level is absolutely a combination of skills and experience, but it just depends on what projects you get exposed to, what other amazing collaborative teams you're exposed to. I couldn't have passed development lifecycle and deployment designer if I hadn't languished away for 3 months at Sky TV and worked with some amazing developers who used continuous integration all the time. I wouldn't have passed that exam without that experience, I believe. It would have all just been theory. So it makes a big difference, but it just depends. And the way you can control that is to push yourself to be involved in pre-sales projects if you're customer facing, or if you're an end user, you could put yourself forward for various transformation initiatives at your business, and that will expose you to the various different areas that you need to learn about. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Hi, Gemma. Thank you for your presentation. It was very great. How much hands-on experience do you think necessary to get to the point where you can start prepping for a CTA exam?
Is this, so just to clarify the question, is this hands-on experience preparing for the review board itself, or is this hands-on career experience?
Career experience.
Career experience. Yeah. Again, it comes down to what you've been exposed to. So if you're customer facing, you can say to your line manager or whoever holds the keys to the projects, effectively, the areas that you want to focus on. Having a great mentor absolutely helps as well. If you've got someone, it doesn't even have to be your manager, it can just be somebody that you look up to, someone, and it doesn't have to be the same mentor every time. You could have a mentor for identity, you could have a mentor for integration, you could have a mentor for app building and reporting and so on. It's difficult to say how long it would take and how much hands-on experience, but I think certainly from I can share with you what I've been doing, and that's probably about 5 years of, well, no, because it's meetings as well. So it's, yeah, I would say I've been hands-on for about 9 out of the 10 years. And I probably spent the last year in meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
Soul-crushing meetings. Okay.
What is your checkpoint, next checkpoint in Ladies for Architect journey? Where you can say, oh, it was so successful. How you will measure the impact?
When Salesforce pay for us all to get drunk and talk about architecture at Dreamforce. That was a joke. Well, only half a joke. It was, yeah. For me, it would be over 1,000 members as one measure. But secondly, being able to actually say, if we have people running off and doing physical groups in various regions, because there's only one of me and it's a big world. So if we've got more women who are confident enough to run some study groups in their local area, and maybe in, say, 5 years' time we have an extra 50 female CTAs, I know it's quite a big thing to ask, but if we manage to increase the number of female CTAs, I would say that's a measure of success as well. Can I hide now?
Oh, okay, sorry. Do you know any other female CTAs besides Donia?
There is Doina, there's a lady in Switzerland, and there's a lady in Canada that I've been speaking to,
Okay.
but Doina's the one that I'm closest to at the moment.
Okay.
I need more.
Yeah, no.
Need more. Hopefully Dreamforce will meet some more.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Have there been any new female CTAs from your Ladies Be Architect community?
Not
so
yet.
far? Not yet.
So Charlie went for her review board, and she didn't pass it this time, but she got 4 out of the 7 areas right, and the feedback was excellent. So she's just going away to work on her timing at the moment, and then she's going to have another go in August. I was due to do mine next week, but I'm going to do it in October now.
Okay.
Just get a few other things out the way first. So hopefully Charlie will be our first Ladies Be Architect, which will be good.
Any other questions?
Okay.
And I would like to thank Gemma.
Thank you.
And we'll have a short break and be back in 10 or 15 minutes. We're having a short break.
Oh,
We'll be
that's
back in
nice.
10 to 15 minutes.